Hey everyone, welcome to Breathe and Unpack. I'm Maya, and this is our space to slow down, breathe, and talk honestly about the things life throws at us. Here, nothing is off limits. Relationships, family, work, stress, and personal struggles. Sometimes we'll vent, sometimes we'll reflect, but every time we'll ask, what can I take away from this? You're not just listeners, you're part of our support system. That means we share, we listen, we learn, and we leave the judgment at the door. And if you need to cry or get emotional here, that's okay too. This space is built for honesty. If you've got a story you want to share or something you're unpacking in your own life, email me at breathe, the letter N, unpack at gmail.com. That's breathe and unpack at gmail.com. I might read it here on the show so we can all grow together. And just a quick note, this podcast is about personal opinions and experiences. It's not medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. So take a breath, lean in, and let's unpack life together. Welcome to the support system. All right, let's unpack this one. Boundaries. You hear that word all the time, right? But let's be real. Nobody handed us a manual for what boundaries actually look like. Growing up, a lot of us weren't taught them. Some parents cross boundaries without even realizing it, invading privacy, making decisions for you, not really giving you space to form your own voice. And then you grow up not really sure what's too much or not enough. For me, boundaries haven't always been about saying no. I actually don't struggle with that part. I can say no. My challenge has been knowing when to say no and when my yes is actually helping versus when it's enabling. I'm a natural helper, an empath, so sometimes I jump in without thinking about the weight it puts on me or if I'm even supposed to be carrying it. I've been told I have a motherly energy, and it made me think. When I was younger, a friend told me that when I was stepping in too much and giving advice on where I thought or felt like she needed it. And years later, someone I dated said the same thing. At first, I brushed it off because in my head, I was just helping, but hearing it again made me pause. Am I supporting or am I parenting people who didn't ask for that? That's a boundary too. And I'll give you an example. There's this person I know, not someone I'm super close with. Out of nowhere, they reached out asking to borrow money. I didn't think twice. I said yes. And even told them they didn't need to pay me back because I understood their situation. But then it happened again and again. And after a while, I realized I had become their go to. Now, I don't regret helping. That's my nature. But it did make me think, was I actually helping or was I enabling them? Because I started to notice a pattern. We never really talked outside of those asks. And when I said no one time, just a simple, I don't have it, the request stopped. They didn't disappear completely. They'd still pop up on social media, comment here and there. But the pattern showed me that sometimes people lean on the ones they know will say yes. And that's where boundaries have to come in. Boundaries aren't only about family and friends. They show up at work too, saying yes to every extra project, every extra task, because you don't want to look lazy or unhelpful. That can quietly burn you out. You don't even give yourself the chance to see if you can handle what's already on your plate. Then there's strangers. You ever had someone who you just met overshared their whole life story with you? Or maybe you've been that person who opened up way too fast. Boundaries can look like keeping some parts of yourself private until you actually feel safe. Not every situation deserves access to your deepest self. Even with ourselves, boundaries matter. And honestly, those are the hardest parts. It's things like knowing when to log off social media because scrolling is eating your time. Knowing when to stop replaying that conversation in your head because you're spiraling and it's not changing anything. Sticking to a diet you said you'd commit to. Showing up at the gym even when you don't feel like it. Or holding yourself to studying instead of pushing it off. Those are boundaries too. Discipline you set with yourself. And if you don't set them, you end up drained, distracted, or stuck in a cycle that don't move you forward. One thing I've started practicing is asking people before I jump in, do you want me to just listen or do you want advice? That simple question creates a boundary for me because I used to just give advice thinking I was helping when sometimes they only wanted an ear. And as an empath, I've had to remind myself I can't carry other people's problems as if they're mine. I can care, I can support, but I can't control the outcome. That's another type of boundary I'm learning. Psychologists talks about boundaries as having different types: physical, emotional, time, mental. And when you don't have them, life feels scattered. Nature Glover Tawab, who wrote Set Boundaries, Find Peace, talks about how weak boundaries can look like overcommitting, avoiding conflict, or feeling guilty for saying no. And I felt that guilt, even if I said no politely, used to hit me. But I'm learning it's not rejection, it's protection. So yeah, boundaries are bigger than just saying no. They're about clarity, safety, and respect. Respect for yourself and the people around you. They're the difference between helping because they want to versus helping because you feel like you have to. I'm still learning, still checking myself, still trying to notice when I'm adding too much to my plate or stepping in when no one asked me. It's a work in progress. I'm learning to listen a lot more. I was already a good listener, but I'm learning to listen a lot more than providing advice and talking. So here's my takeaway. This is what I'm sitting with. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. You get to choose when to open, when to close, and who to let in. So here's my reflection question for you. Where in your life do you need to put a healthier boundary? At work, with family, in your friendships, or with yourself? And what would you change if you actually stuck to it? Thank you for listening to Breathe and Unpack. If today's episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend, family member, or someone you think could use the conversation. You never know, it might be exactly what they need to hear. I'd also love to hear from you. Email me at breathe, the letter N, unpack at gmail.com. Again, that's breathe, the letter N for Nancy, unpack at gmail.com. Or connect with me on Instagram at breathe, AND, unpack. Whether it's your story, your takeaway, or just a thought you want to get off your chest, this space is for all of us. And just a reminder, this podcast isn't therapy or professional advice. I'm learning and growing right alongside you. These are real conversations meant to spark reflection and support, not replace the help of a professional. We're building the support system together. One breath, one story, one moment at a time. Until next time, take a breath, lean in, and let's keep unpacking.